Welcome everyone to the module 2. And yeah, let's get started. So Raghav, we can move to the next slide.
Yeah,
So we started off with the basics of version control systems, and we introduced you about what is Git, what is GitHub, and how to set up a remote repository on GitHub using Git. Then we also visualized Git. We have shared the link for the visualization tool as well, and I'll share it again in today's session in case you want to have a look at that. So we looked at how Git actually works internally and how different branches, within Git can be, developed. And then we started off by learning more about the concept of what really goes on behind web development, like what exactly is web development, and how is the three-tier architecture of web development with the client side, server side, and also the logic and the database side, how that is set up. Then we looked at some of the different tools, for example, code editors like VS Code, Sublime Text, or Atom, how to set that up, and then knowing some of the best developer friendly tools that will be required if you are going to be using web development, things such as the browser toolings, right, all of those different tools we had covered. And then we had also given you some examples of the Visual Studio extensions such as Live Server, Prettier, right? These are again will come in handy if you are making any kind of a web development project. And finally, we also showed you like a hands-on demonstration of deploying your code from a remote repository and like from your local Git to a remote repository as well via various Git commands. So in case you have any questions from all of these different points, you can go back to the first session and you can sort of look at all of these different points. So coming to what we're going to be covering today, right? So again, the target of this bootcamp is to help all of you know about the various different kind of web technologies, such as what is front end, what is back end, how can you integrate both front end, back end with databases, and then of course we want to showcase all of this with a live example, with a hands-on, a project building that we'll be starting off today itself actually, and we'll be continuing over the course of the next 6 sessions. And it's going to be a note-taking application. So just think about it that you create a note-taking application where you can also then save your notes and do basic operations such as creation of new notes, deletion, and updation of notes. And then how can you deploy this application onto the cloud? And essentially, this will guide you on how you can create full stack applications and also share them in your resume by creating impactful applications. So that's primarily the target of the bootcamp now, since we are really moving into the core fundamentals of web technologies. So with that, I will hand over to Raghav, who will be starting off with HTML. Over to you, Raghav.
yeah. Thank you, Shiva, for the introduction of today's module, as well as describing how we will be proceeding with our development part. And again,
Yep.
today's session will be mainly covered with the hands-on experience, like how it will be building up the projects in real with a real experience. And again,
Yep.
in this module, so we would be covering HTML as well as CSS. So guiding you towards like the introduction to HTML. So basically, you from the earlier stages itself within art school. So we have studied about HTML. So it's basically a hypertext markup language. So it is basically used for like writing up the web pages, giving structure to it, and again displaying information, and again displaying it to user. But as per our earlier or prior life, so we just only have developed all those application, and we have just stored it to ourselves. We can only view that data from that HTML page, but no other user can view that again, except the local computer that we are using. So hence, that's why this session is meant for all that gathering up knowledge from our prior, and along with this new knowledge that we would be getting from these sessions and modules, and again applying that to our real experience and creating the real time projects. And definitely that will build a strong resume. So you can, if you have an interview, so you can show to the companies like what projects have you built and etc. So again, we have the HTML. We again we would be covering that. That would be the basic structure of how a web page would be looking like, and again CSS, that would be styling a web page. And again, I would be like defining you what is the difference that we have when we do not style our HTML pages. Again, continuing with the tree structure. So basically, how we write an HTML code is like we define a tag, and in between that we have some textual based information. So that definitely forms a tree structure. So by what tree structure mean is like you can see this code base that is being written. So initially we have the HTML tag over there. So that represent the whole document that we have written is an HTML document. Again, followed by a head tag. So each and every tag that is represented over here, we can compare it to a node of a tree. Like we have a trunk, we have branches, and we have leaves. Leaves, you can define it as the last uh, tag of HTML that contains all the information and the previous branches that are there again. So that holds those leaves. So basically, each and every the tag that we are using here, so that is represented and contain numerous various type and numerous number of tags within it and numerous number of information that is being stored as well as viewed to the user. So according to this, so we have created an HTML tag denoted by this HTML block. Again, we have two tags. So we have first one is head tag. Again, the head tag is end there. So neglecting this brown part, so we will be continuing to this blue part. So blue part represent a simple tag represented by this head block, and again where it's end. So the next tag that would be written over beside that. So that tag would be a sibling tag. So initially we had written head and the sibling tag would be body. So for example, like we have parent and parent give birth to a child. So the parent would be, so HTML is a parent and head is a child of HTML tag. And again, if you have any sibling, so you can compare these two with the tree structure. If a parent has two child, so the child are sibling of each other, and again they have a common parent. So inside the head tag we have another child. So we have the title that represent the title of the whole HTML document above the browser that we see. And again, I would be demonstrating all of this in coding environment that we would be using. And again, we have the body that contain again the information that is being displayed over the DOM or the web page, through which we the user can see up the information. Like if you type google.com, so everything you see it, within the web browser itself, it is contained within the body tag. So again, moving back towards what we will be covering. So we would be explaining about different tags, element, and how they will be used within the HTML tag. Again, we would be covering the SEO part, search engine optimization, along with web accessibility. So I would be defining all this thing within the coding environment. So let's get started with the first session of HTML. Then we will be proceeding with how we will be styling the web page through CSS, cascading style sheet. Yeah, thanks, Shiva. So basically, what we have covered yesterday is like setting up the coding environment that we will be using as of now. And again, in that, I have introduced you with some of the extension that. So basically, we will be using a Visual Studio Code editor for typing our code. So that is basically will look like this as per you will be that can be visible over the screen. And again, you have to download some of the extension that would make a developer life much more easier. So basically heads toward this extension tab. So that would be found on the left panel. So just by clicking on that, so we will be searching for extension like the first one is HTML code snippets. So heads upon to this icon HTML snippet and download this. So basically it is all the just by installing, clicking on the install button, so it is already being downloaded and available within the VS Code editor. And again, just click on close. And so I would be starting with from scratch. So basically what it helps is by just pressing the exclamation mark. So basically we have a bunch of option that is being provided by this extensions. So basically the first one is like just by pressing the exclamation mark and an intelligent pop-up would appear, and by clicking enter. So this we have two options whether to have this three exclamation mark, but I will go with first exclamation mark that denotes the full HTML boilerplate. Just by entering that, so we will be getting this HTML boilerplate that is visible over here. So this doc type represent the Chrome browser. Like we would be now write the type of the document is HTML. So we would be handling all the stuff within this file as an HTML. So again, as you can see, like all the HTML page or the web page would be start as per the HTML tag that denotes we will be starting an HTML documentation or document. And again, we have specified the language. Again, it can be English. And again, there are certain language that have by default it is the all the languages are written from left to right, but there are certain language that are written from top to bottom or right to left, like Arabic or any other any other language. So basically, proceeding with the next tag, that is head tag. So this head tag actually does not is not visible over the browser, but this title tag is visible over the at the top of the browser that display what is the title of the this index file. So if I write Scalar Academy Bootcamp. So just by click on save. So if you can see, like these HTML tags are self-aligned to as respect to this document, and that have some spacing and tabs between that. And so that is again done by another extension. So that's defined earlier also, but again for this. So just click on just type prettier. So this is the prettier code formatter again for reference how to get it installed within this. So we have to particularly follow two steps to uh, run it within the code editor. So you can refer to the previous video, or Shivai, you can also like paste up the link within the YouTube comments, or you can pin it within this chat.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah, so awesome. So followed by again referring to this title tag. So this title represent the title of the browser. So if I run this index.html within the browser, so it will be uh, like I would be opening scalar module 2 and again index.html. So how it would be visible, like if you can see above the browser window, so you can see the title over here, like Scalar Academy Bootcamp. So the title within the head tag would be visible over the main browser tab, so representing what is the title of this page. And again, each and every page can have a different title defined by this title tag. Again, we can change this, and followed by we have some meta tags over here. So we would be describing it in the SEO session that I will be defining it after explanation about different type of tags that we will be using. And again I would be describing about the web accessibility. So followed by a body tag. So this is the main tag that define this body. Like if you can see this white screen over there. So this is the main body that all the information would be contained within it. So defining by the first tag, like we have some headings to define heading of any paragraph or sections. So starting with heading tag, so we have H1 tag that represent the highest font size that can be defined within this HTML. So this is the biggest font. Rather, we can have much bigger font by defining it through CSS, but for by default, initially it have a particular font size. So it's basically two. Uh, so like defining by a simple heading tag. So we have heading tags from H1 to H6. So as we go as we increase the number from H1 to H6, H2, H3, H4, H5, so the font size get on decrease. So like as per small. this. So as per this example, so this is the H1 tag and this is the H6 tag. If I just zoom it out, so you can see the difference between this. So font size is the smallest, and in this, the font size is much bigger than like the H6 tag, and again followed by H2, 3, 4, 5 tags. And the next step would be representing how we add a paragraph. So in this paragraph, so I would be writing some text. So again I have typed in lorem. So lorem, and I can see this instance in within the intelligence. So basically by entering this, so I would get a particular paragraph already written within it, and again that represent a simple uninformative text just to add a paragraph. So this text does not have any information, but yeah, if we want to check it out, so how a text would be visible over the screen. So again we write this type of lorem paragraph. So defining this paragraph tag, so just by refreshing, so a paragraph do
Raghav, can
have.
you increase the font in the VS Code?
Okay, yeah, so is it good or
Yeah, I think now it's fine.
great? So like I can disable this explorer. Yeah, so following by some other text, so we have some uh, unordered list, like to define a particular list. If you have seen any list within a particular web page, so a small bulleted style lists are visible, or you can see 1 to 3 listing are there. So that is basically if there are two tags to define that. So UL tag and OL tag. So UL basically define an unordered list like bulleted style. If either it can be a circle, it can be a disk, or it can be a square type of thing. That is defined by a UL tag. Or ordered list or OL tag define a numbered list, whether it can be in Roman like I like I like this, representing at 1 to 3, or it can be 1, 2, and 3, or it can be A, B, C, like this. So basically, we have this UL and OL tag for defining a list. So, for example, if I want to define a particular list, so I would be writing a UL tag along with followed by a LI tag. LI tag means I would be listing some item, list item tag. So I would be listing an item within this UL tag. So item 1 followed by item 2, again by click on save. So we have this bulleted style information represented over it, and again if I convert it to the OL tag, so we have this numbering type of thing in front of that. So again, if I want to list any item, so it have a proper structure while defining. So initially we have to define a parent tag ULL or OL, and then we have to list the item that is represented within a particular list, so that a particular pre like a bulleted style list or a number could be appeared before the item that is that is to be displayed, again followed by another tag like we can also create tables. So defining by like I can give it the name like name class. So defining this as, so initially, if we want to create a table, so we initially have a table tag to represent or start a table. Like it would contain the total width as well as the size of the table, along with number of rows and number of columns in it. The TR represent the row, basically a vertical or horizontally defined row. And again, in the horizontally defined row, we have some particular columns within it. So that is defined by the TD tag. So again, the table represents the whole table that we want to create a table. Again, the table is divided into number of rows that contain separated data of a user. The first row contain like the heading, the second row contain the data of the first user, then the second row contain the data of the second user. And again, in each section, so we have a number of columns within it. For example, we have name, we have class, so defined by the TD tag. So basically the full form of it is table row, tr tag, and table data. So I can write it as, so to add a comment within it. So basically we have this open angle bracket, then followed by an exclamation mark, and followed by two hyphen sign. And again for closing, so we have two hyphen sign and a closing angle bracket. So basically a comment can be defined. So this is uh, table data tag, and the above one is table row tag for defining up the rows. So again, we can create a new row for define another data, and we would be representing. So basically, we can represent it as the first one is name. So I would be write Raghav, and my class is first. And again, I would be define the second row for the column, and then again Shivai. So the class is second. And again, when I click, go back to the browser and hit refresh. So basically a table create over here that have a specified row and column. So if you can see over there, so no border is given over here or no padding or something. So basically after a particular version, so the W3 consortium, W3C, basically the whole web as a group of people that define sets of instruction. So how we would be defining a tag, so they have removed all the borders as well as styling from the table tag. So we explicitly have to give all the styling through the css. So basically if I want to create a border, so I have to define this, uh, like we have to create an order. So you can neglect this styling as I'm writing as per now. So basically I would be defining at TD. I would give a border of 1 pixel and solid as well as a color of black. So defining it as, so you can see our table have been created along with this is the table heading. And again we have two rows that contains the table data. Again, we have different terms to define that, to define table heading. So basically, it is if I want to define a particular table heading, so it should always start as T head. So basically, there are much like it's a very vast concept to describe all the table, but as per this module, as we are all beginners, and we are just having a start to understand how we would be like designing our web page and showing the information along with some functionality that we would be covering in next module. So we can end this uh, tag over here. And again we have some other tag like uh, if you sign up at any of the platform, so basically they ask up your information, so they are defined by a form tag. So form is nothing but you like type all the data within a form followed by some input tags. So the input tags contain many types. For example, a button, it can be a button, small button like over which we can click. We can define some uh, event listener to it like on click, on hover or something. So what function it would be defined when I click on the button, or it can be a simple textual information input. Like if I want to get a text, so basically a text box would appear in this, and at some time we have a particular like there is another tag to have spacing between these table as well as form. So that's called break line. So br tag, simple br tag. So basically that define a particular that creates some spacing between the element that's being defined over here. So wherever I define this br tag, so a space is created. And again, so input is visible over here. And if I want to display some information like what this input would be containing, so I would be typing it as placeholder, like enter name. So placeholder define a particular text that's only visible to the user when the input box is empty. Like if I refresh, so the input box defines enter the name. So if I start writing, so this that enter name would be automatically disappear as soon as the user start typing it within the text box. And if the text box is empty, and again, so enter name would be again will get again visible. So again, we have the type text as well as number to define all the numbers. So in this number field, we cannot enter any uh, alphabets or symbols except this minus symbol, as there are negative number too, and also we can add this plus symbol for denoting the like the number of the mobile number or phone number. And again, we have this iterator along with it, uh, through which we can definitely have or upgrade or degrade the number from this. So this is basically the web accessibility. So if my keyboard is not like typing is not working properly, so I can use the mouse to increment the number. But again, if I have my mobile number, so that would be a tough step to like increment the number to tens and thousands of places. So like neglecting this. So again, we have some checkboxes, radio buttons, and much more. So you can definitely have we have these many options within the type. So we have the range, radio, password, month, number, and many much more field for determining each data type that we want to enter within this input field. So again, checkbox represent that tick checkbox. Again, radio buttons are circle type of things that we can click on it. And again, for uploading a file, so we use a file input type. And again, so input is a tag that is defined over here, and these types are the attributes. This type placeholder are attributes of input. Attributes are nothing but some special functions that is being typed in it, so that to create some special functionality of that input tag. If I want to update that, and again, so followed by, so I think we have a basic introduction about how the text will be looking like and how we can it how we can use different tags within it. So there are other bunch of tag that can be again find useful over it. So the basic tag that we would be using will be a div tag. So div is nothing but a division that we will be creating a simple division that contains a particular set of information. So our division does not have any styling. So basically, if you can see over here, these tags. So basically, these tags again represent some type of styling within it. So that these tags are have a predefined style. So we can also change this style to add uh, at any instance. But again, to the div tags are the most flexible uh, division, uh, the most flexible tag within the HTML that we will be using. So div tag just represent a particular set of block in which information is written. Like this tag will contain information. So yeah, again, I would be commenting these all. Uh, and yeah, cool. So refreshing that, so this tag will contain information. Now proceeding with the next, uh, like the SEO and the web accessibility. So SEO means the search engine optimization. So as soon as you create a particular web page or website, web application, so you need to define the browser as well as the search engines. Like our website is live on a platform like www.raghavdhingra.com. If I made a website, so I have to determine like my website should be available when the user typed in the Google search field. So as I type Raghav Dhingra and click on enter, so basically the search result should be visible over the web page. So as soon as you deploy your website, the search Google does not know that your website is live or your website is present. So basically, you have to perform some extra step to determine to let the Google servers know like my website is active. So as soon as I type Raghav Dhingra, so my website is there, my GitHub account, and everything is visible over here. Yeah. So again, so that how we can determine this SEO of the web pages. So basically that are defined by the meta tags. So again we can comment this selling, and that's again determined by this meta tags. So what meta tags define is these meta tags are not available on or not visible over the screen, but these are definitely be helpful for the search engine to have some of the information. Like we have this meta tag again with the name of viewport that determine how the viewport would be looking like, how the initial scale, like if this initial scale determine like when I open my website, what should be the scale of the web page, whether it should be expanded or collapsed. We can change the size with this uh, changing the number, but generally it should be 1.0 to determine like the every text should be aligned within the particular width along with the viewport that we have. Viewport is nothing but the width of the desktop that we are using or the width of the browser that we are using. Again, we do have some extra tag that determine like again by going towards the Google example. So you can see over here. So hey there, I am Raghav Dhingra. So this is the description. So we can determine this by entering name as description and the content as hey there. So I have written this within my application. So that's why the description information is visible over here. And again, this is the content title. So again, the meta tags, we can define the meta tags over here for the title, and the title would be visible over here. And now, uh, so this is the part of search engine optimization, and there are also other. This is a particular field of web development in which basically the websites are optimized according to the search information. So if I have searched over the Google servers, so basically there are too many pages over there. So ranking my web application at the first page of Google search. So that's basically the search engine optimization. So optimizing my all web application that can be set within the Google search page at the first. So there are some specific tag like adding an alt attribute to an image or something. So there are many much various steps to determine the SEO, and again proceeding with the web accessibility. So we have a bunch of options like what if a user keyboard is not working, as I have shown you. Having a counter type of thing within the input box, or what if the mouse is not working, so how that they would be controlling that. And again we have some concept like area. So if this is the some of the area attributes or tag. So basically these are defined within the tag HTML tags to determine whether that can be accessible through keyboard or mouse or not, or how that can be used. And again, if a user have a color blindness, so how the content would be visible. So it should have a proper contrast. Again, along with if I cannot read small font, so the font should be visible, and that can be like a font size could be increased or decreased according to the user. So that's basically the web accessibility. And again, if a person is blind, so they uh, a web application should have a certain kind of step like having a hearing aid or something that can read out the sentences or the information that is being present in the application. So that's basically the web accessibility, providing accessibility to each and every sets of user, whether they are disabled or not. uh, and disability can be any certain type, whether it can be hands or it can be eyes or ears or something. So making web accessible to everyone. So that's nothing but web accessibility. So again, we have completed this topic, and uh, yeah, so moving towards now we are in the next session of covering the CSS. So basically introduction about the CSS is nothing but CSS stand for cascading style sheet. So this is the simple definition. So here cascading means if I apply styling to a particular element, if I apply styling to this body element, so cascading means the styling would be applied to the child element also. So if I applied like the color of the body should be red, like the text color, font color of the body should be red. So all the tags that are contained within the body, so that color would be of the color of this div also would be of red color. For example, like so, if I type as color as red, so if I typed color font color as red, so again going back towards the main example, so clicking on this, refreshing the page, so the text is red in color, but I have not defined the styling to this division, but again the styling have been applied. So that's what cascading means. So the term is that derived from the functionality of how it will be performing to a HTML page. So we have the cascading style sheet. So the style sheet is nothing but styling a particular HTML document that we would be defining, that would be containing some information. Yeah. So next step would be determining. So ho- like the box model of the document. So basically, how we structure a particular element uh, within the document is nothing but we determine it as a box model. So model is nothing but a rectangular type of division that is being created. So heads upon towards the uh, developer console that I have covered in the previous session. So just click on this three dots, then hover over more tools and click on developer tools. So basically that opens up a particular tab on the right side, or you can change this by clicking on again on this below three dots below this, and again you can select this particular whether you want to exclude this from the browser or you have to align this on the left side or the bottom side. Again, that's totally up to you. Again, I have shifted this to the right side, and again just head towards this element tag. So this element tag determine what is the code that I have written within the HTML document. So this is the code that I have written. Along with it will also contain some of the comments. So basically this is the main tag, so div tag. And if you see over here, if you click on body, so initially we have this orange box. Orange represents some orange represent padding. So this body have some padding, so heads over towards uh, just expand this, and so I can enlarge this tab. So heads up over to the cells tab below it, and again just click on a particular tag. So if I click on div, so it display div with some CSS style. So it have a CSS style of display block. So as I've told you, it has the most common this is the most commonly used tag while defining or determining a web page. Again, by using different type of tags, so we have a different sets of SEO as well as web accessibility already available within the tags. So we does not have to explicitly define each and every functionality if we are using div. So by clicking on the body tag, if you can see over here, so we have determined the color of the text as red. So again, we can also change this by any color, and that can be visible over here. So again, I have selected black. Again, the color is black, and also I can select the color from this picker tool as this is white color, and the hex and other values can be visible through this tool. So basically, having a developer tools handy will be very efficient and effective while developing our application. So basically, changing the color back to red. And again, this style tab contains each and every information that all and have all the style that is already available within that tag that we have used. If I remove this color tag, so basically I will untick or uncheck this box. So basically the color is again by default reverted to the black color, that is by default black color, and again the background is white. And again we can see this margin by default the body has a margin of 8 pixels, but we can reduce change it back by defining it as margin and 0. So again you can check the difference. Like, uh, if I untick this margin, so by default the margin 8 pixel would be applied, and if I check this box, so margin 0 will be applied, so there will be no margin and the text would be directly attached to the side of the window or the side of the browser. And again, now we are talking about the box model. So just scroll down a little bit below this style tab. So you can see this block over here. So this is nothing but this is the basically a box model. So how our tags are defined. So basically a tag contains the content window. Content is nothing but how much space it is the tag is taking. So basically, again clicking on this div element, again it is taking a width of 794 pixel along with the height of 18 pixel over here. And again we have a padding, border, and margin. So these four are the common parameters that define a particular web page or a tag. And again in this division we will be creating and adding information to it, and we will be adding styling to this. And again, if for example if I add I want to add some margin to it, so I will be adding margin of 10 pixel. So again you can see over here a margin of 10 pixel has been added. So you can see a orange box covering toward the content, so that determine the margin that it would be taking. So the next would be I would be creating a border of 5 pixel of solid, and the color would be green. So this is the border, and again you can see I have created a border with 5 pixel of width, and again that is being created over the four sides. We can also change the side if I want to only want to have a border at the top, so that would be created at the top. So I would be writing it as border top and clicking on enter. So only a top border would be given over here. So I want to have the border at all four ends. Again, I would be adding some, so it would be margin, and I would be adding another property as padding as 10 pixel. So again, the padding would be visible in light green in color. So I can change the color from red to blue, let it be blue. Okay, blue represent the border and padding represent the green end. So basically what is the difference between padding and margin is both denotes spacing between the contents, but again the padding denotes the spacing between the content as well as the border, and the margin represent all the spacing uh, beside border. Like we have the content from content till border. So we have, if we want to have some spacing between the border and content, so we will be using padding. And if we want to create some uh, spacing between different tags, so we would be using margin. Again that would be totally dependent upon what type of styles or instances that we will be using. So again determining by that. And again we can describe this box model. Content represented by this blue screen, again padding by green, border by this orange, and border by this light yellow, and margin by orange. again, going back to our slide, so we would be defining the types of CSS that we would be using. Again, defining by CS some of the CSS properties, and again we would be ending it by some animation, cool animations and responsiveness. So how we would be making it responsive from like how it would be visible over the desktop as well as uh, the device as small as small mobile phones. So again, uh, just give me a moment. Yeah, so determining by I would be hitting refresh. So again, my code is back to style. I would be so we can make a new file. So it would be rename as previous.html. Again, I would be creating a new file as index.html. So you can neglect this step. Again, I would be hitting exclamation mark and hitting enter for creating a particular HTML boilerplate code. So we have Scalar Academy Bootcamp, and again I would be creating a div tag. So basically, there are different type of CSS in through which we can add styling. So basically, the first one is inline CSS, as you can see over here. So for determining inline CSS, so we have a particular div tag, so that contains some information like hello world and hitting save. So I would be just maximizing this window so for easy understanding. And again, I would be adding a simple background to it. So attribute known as style. So I would be writing style to it. And again, I can determine different set of CSS property to it. And starting by, I want to give a background color of blue, and again I can determine different sets of property to it followed by exclamation mark. So basically we have the CSS property followed by a colon symbol that represent it is basically the property followed by the value along with the exclamation mark that denotes the property has been ended, so we can type another property to it. So basically I would be adding a color. I would be giving a color of white. Again, by clicking on save and hitting refresh, so a background is being given over here, like with a background of blue and the text color is white. So if I again go on this div tag, so we have the background color blue and color white. So the again the next type of CSS would be the inline CSS. So I can determine this by creating a new style tag. So what this style tag does is, so we explicitly have to define like the tag that we are using. So we have this div tag. So if we want to add styling to a particular tag, so we just have to type the name of the tag. So basically we can create our own tags like ABC, and we can give style to it, like ABC should be looking like this. And again we can shift this everything to that uh, style tag. Again, uh, I have created a style tag. Within it, I have defined a particular uh, tag name along with some CSS property that I would be applying. So background hyphen color for determining the property, and along with the value, and same with color. Color represent the font color, and the background color represent what the background it would be looking like. So basically hitting on refresh. So again, uh, I have created a new element. So by default, the display would be inline. So I have to explicitly define display as block. Display block means it would be taking the whole width of the window. So again, clicking on enter, saving it and pressing, clicking refresh. So it would be taking the whole space. Again, this white space that you can see, so that is coming from the body. If you can see over here, so 8 margin is already available by default, so that that content that we are writing should not be like touched with the sides of the screen. So basically again maximizing it. So again, back to the div tag. So the next would be creating a external CSS file. So by clicking on this new file, so I would be writing a new file name as you can type any of the name. So main dot ag- is again succeeding by extension of dot CSS. Again hitting enter. So a new file would be created and named as main.css. Again by going on index.html. Uh, Again, I would be removing all this stuff and I would be adding this to the main.css. But again, going back to the browser and hitting refresh, no CSS style would be visible as we have not linked this main.css file to our uh, HTML file. So basically, we have to link these two files to each other in order to get all the properties within the main CSS file to index.html file. So how we can do this is by entering within this head tag. So we can type link uh, link again giving a reference to it href. So where our file is present. So our file is currently present in this current folder. So I would be writing dot slash mean current folder, and the main file is I would be writing the whole name of the file. So main.css again proceeding with by and uh, slash, and again I would be closing this link element, but still this have some defect in it. Again by going back to the HTML page and hitting refresh, again nothing happened as we have linked the main.css file, but we have not explicitly defined what this file contains. So we have to define the data type of this file. So basically, I would be writing rel. Rel mean relevance. So what this main.css file contain? So it contains a style sheet. So hitting save and again. So it's not currently linked with. So it's the module 2 and we have style sheet present over here. So we have in.css and enter. So we get this. So again, okay, so we have this link tag displayed as display none. Okay, so I think we can neglect this external CSS link. So maybe there can be a problem with my browser as it is not, rather it is the same syntax that we are visible over here. But yeah, this is the main tag that you will be using with along with the same syntax. So in order to create a particular external file link, Okay. So why it is not linking is I have not changed the ABC to development. Okay, now it's changed. So it's my fault. That was a funny fault that I've not seen. So basically, the name should be same as that of the tag that we are using. So basically, if I remove this relevance tag, again refreshing. So again, we have to determine this link tag along with some reference like what that CSS style would be containing. And again, that contains a style sheet, and that tag is a div tag. And we have determined this div tag and we have given style to it. But if the name of the tag is something else, so again, as per this session, so I was also concerned about this. Like it is the common concept of using that, but how it is not working if I added link that file to it. So basically, the name of the tag should be same as that of that we have defined in the CSS file. So that was a bit funny moment for me. And again, uh, now we will be coming to the CSS properties. So we would be having some different property, like if I would be defining different div, like this is hello world, how are you? So I have determined this style.css. I have given a div element and determined two divs along with it. And again, if I refresh to it, so it defined two division with content of hello world along with how are you. And I would be changing the color to white, so it can be clearly visible. So I would be adding some margin to it along with 10 pixel so that these two div can be separated from each other. And again, uh, the margin is being given. So margin is already like given to all four sides. So if I want to add a margin to a particular side, if I want to add margin only on top, so I would be adding margin top to it. And again, by refreshing the page, so only margin top is added to the division. If you can see over here, all orange like background is only visible over the division. So only margin top is given and as same as that of development that we have used. Now separating, we have separated these two divs through margin. And again, I don't want to change the color of the second div. So what I do is I explicitly define a particular attribute known as class. So class determine a set of uniquely identified tags. There can be multiple tags with same class name. Like I want to add uh, back blue. So when I use this class, so in CSS, how we determine a class is starting with by a dot symbol, following by the name of the class name that we are using. So it's back view, and again followed by we have given the specific sets of instruction that we are using. So I have saved this, and again, when I refresh it, the first tag that you can see over here, so that have been given all these three properties, but the second div tag does not have not been given the same property. If you can see over here, so back view have this background color, and margin top, but again the second div does not have anything. So if I define this class name to this division, again the same properties are applied to it. Yeah, so the second property is nothing but declaring some IDs. So basically, we use ID with majorly with JavaScript. So ID is nothing but how we compared class to ID is IDs are uniquely identified tags, but classes are they are uniquely identify set of tags. Like we can have multiple tags with same class, but we cannot have multiple tags with a same ID. Rather, if we put the same ID with two tags, like it can be like uh, test ID. this same name cannot be this name cannot be same across all over the this index.html file. Whether if we give this particular attribute, this index, this id as test id, we can change this css styling through this id, but through javascript we cannot change the properties to all the IDs that is being determined within the particular file page. So what I am telling is will be defined in the next module of JavaScript. So in this, so basically we would be testing how the ID would be different from CSS, and how classes, and how CSS preprocessor, basically how your CSS code will be compiled and display in the web browser. So basically giving this ID to it. So I will be giving declaring an ID as a hash, and again starting with the test ID that would be having the background color of red. So now here is the twist come that I will be showing you, like how CSS preprocessor would be working. So if you can see over here, so I have given this with uh, the class name backblue along with a test ID. So if I have defined an ID toward particular division, so it have a higher priority toward classes. So that's why the background color remain the same. If I change this background color from blue to green, it does not affect, as we definitely have the background color of red. Along with we have uh, explicitly defined that it has an ID. So ID has a higher priority, and hence the background color will be same as that of that we have defined within the ID. And again, if we define this ID in the div tag, so again the color would be changed of this tab also. But again, I was comparing this as per the JavaScript. You cannot point to a particular div with same ID. Only the first div that is being processed through the JavaScript. So this div would be only handled through JavaScript. So again, clearing this out. So now, what if I have given two classes with like back blue and back red again? So here's the twist come. So this is the main scenario that you would be looking to also. Like if uh, the black would be blue and back would be red. Red. So checking again the class names. So again it would be red. So going back towards the initial scenario, so we can see the background color is being changed, is being taken as this back red. But why? Here comes the first scenario. What if we change this class name? Uh, like if I have written back red at back, so maybe it will be taking the properties that is present at end of the class name. So again, if I hit refresh, but it is again taking the red background color. So what is our mistake? So I want to give a background color of blue. The back red should not be uh, disturbing that back blue. So again, the answer is what how CSS preprocessor work is, it render this, it take all the property, it set to a particular element. But if another class is applied to the same division, and if it is below that, like if back I have written this back red class below this back blue class, so the all the properties that is already being defined to a particular division, so that is being overridden by the new properties. If I again copy this whole CSS property and back red class, and I just copy and paste it above the back blue class and hit refresh. So again, the CSS preprocessor would be handling it like this, like the background color red would be given to this division, and again while processing all the CSS style.scss or CSS file, so it would be considering this also. So it would be overriding the current background color with a new one. So the background color turns from red to blue. So this is the main scenario. And again, the classes with classes at the end of the CSS file have the higher property as that of the above class. And again, the second is the IDs have the higher priority than classes. So again, we have the concept of inline styles. So inline style have the highest priority among all of these three. So that determine our, like if I want to give a background color of aqua, so the color change from blue to aqua. So again, it has the highest priority than the IDs too. So the next step would be like using the important keyword. So again, for overriding a particular class name, if I don't want to override this override this whole CSS file or CSS property that is being defined below the file. So I would be writing it as if I want to determine this, the background color should be definitely red, irrespective of uh, whether it is containing at below the file or above the file. So I would be writing it as exclamation mark followed by important keyword. So if I click press save, and again if I hit refresh, so again CSS property have given importance to the property that we have defined along with the term important. So the background color with the value of red have been termed as the of the higher priority, and the background color does not change from red to any of the color. So basically we does not use important as we use the basic concept of CSS, like defining the class name and the property at below of the file to determine the priority. And again, like following by we have defined the CSS property. Now we will be coming towards the animation part. So this is the main and interesting part that we would be looking like. So how we can animate within the web pages. So again, I would be creating a simple animation and I would be describing so how it would be looking like. And again, following by with the simple animation that we would be looking towards, like changing of the background color at constant speed. So I would be determining, like I would be changing a background color from red to blue. So I would be defining a class of animation one. Again, I would be declaring this same class name as to this class as animation one. So again, this, so the class name does not have any styling yet, but I would be declaring it as background color of to red. Again, also want to change the color of it to white. Now, yeah, so we would be declaring an animation. So how we can declare the animation is it should definitely have two instances. Like initially it would be starting with the animation name, along with it have, sorry, it have a total of 6 different phases, like to define an animation. Initially it should have a animation name, so how the animation would be working and how it would be transforming from one state to another. So initial step would be like I would be defining an animation name as uh, color change, and the next would be the duration of the animation. I would be keep it as 1 second. So neglecting the other properties that the animation property have. So I have just defined the animation name as well as animation duration. So I would be typing it as the next step is defining this particular animation name. So I would, there is a particular keyword name as keyframe. So initially starting by entering the at the rate symbol followed by a keyframe. So I would be entering an identifier. Identifier is nothing but the name of the animation. So I would be writing the color change. So this name should be same as that of we have defined it at this animation property. So there are two instances. Either we can type it as from, and then 2. So we can determine a number of properties, like we have the initial background color as red, and we want to change it to background color to blue. So this is the most common like animation that we can do within this application. So the background color is changed from red to blue at an instance of 1 second, and again after completion of the animation, it automatically convert back to this background color. So if I type it as green, so again refresh. So again the color is red to blue, and again it transform back to the initial background color. But if I want to keep the color as the last step, so what I do is add a forward to it. Forward mean like it should be stopped as soon as the animation end, and the background color should not change. So again, going back to that. So our animation background color changes transition from red to blue, and the color stop till that point. Again, the next step would be determining along with the percentage. Like at 0%, the background color should be red, and till 100% at completion of the animation, so it should be at the background color of blue. And again, we can determine endless number of percentage. So how the background color should change, like at 50%, at half time, how the background color would be. It should be like green, and the animation should be of at least of 5 seconds. So by hitting refresh, so the animation background color changes from red to green and then to blue till half time. And we can again control the speed by changing the percentage, or we can use a new metric known as animation time delays. It can be like we have different sets of property like ease in out, or we can we it basically use the concept of cubic bezier. So we have a bunch of value and it's a function. So you can definitely heads upon the bezier website, and you can determine how the speed and the flow of the animation would be changed from time to time. So this is the base concept of how we can uh, we can animate through it. And again, if I want to move that particular div from top to bottom, so I would be just typing it as transform translate. So basically, transform is nothing but it creates a hidden axis, graph axis, as you have studied about the graph. So we have the x-axis, y-axis, as well as z-axis for 3D rotations. And if I want to just make a transformation or transition from on upon from top to left, like vertically, so I would be like defining it on the y-axis. So I want to transform it from 0 till 100 pixel. So again, click on save and hitting refresh. So the transition start from 0 till 100 pixel. So the division again is being the transition is being again from top to bottom. If I want to have it on the x-axis, so from left to right, again it would be from left to right section. Again, this is the common uh, animation type of thing. So again, commenting this code out, and this also. So we would be having a responsiveness session over here. So again,
And just to make you understand, like what exactly is the responsiveness, that as the screen size increases or decreases, how your HTML file or your web application can adjust to the screen size. So as we know that each and every screen is of a different size. So how can we ensure that our application is still having the same kind of dimensions, and based on the screen size, you're able to still see it properly structured. So that's what we're going to be looking at now with the uh, accessibilities. Yeah, good.
awesome, Shiva. Yeah, correct. And also, again, we have a different bunch of modules. So all the modules is being uploaded to this GitHub uh, repository as we have defined earlier. So we have the module one, we have all the recordings as well as the presentation slide already available over the repository on the Scalar Academy. And again, the link would be shared by Shiva either in the YouTube comments or live within the video. Or Shiva, you can pin it up on the screen again. So
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
it will be containing all the topics covered in the module one, and I would be uploading all the session as well as the recording of the video and what we have covered within the module two uh, in this repository again. So yeah, you can follow this repository if you want to have a reference to the previous modules. Again, going back to the previous one. So again, refreshing the page, I have created a div as hello world. Again, hitting refresh. So yeah, it's visible. Like I have selected as I have clicked on the selection tool. So I have selected the div, and it would be pointing towards the div that is visible over here. And again, I would be giving a class of responsive. So basically, I would be demonstrating this how responsive would be working. And again, by clicking, I have entered the class name as responsive, and again followed by I want to give a height to it, like for example 300 pixel, and it should have a particular width. And again, determining by uh, I have determined the height. So like commenting this out. And you cannot obviously see the height of the division that is being created, but if you hover over the division, so you can see like the height of the div is 300 pixels. So again, going back, so I would be adding a background color so that it would be clearly visible, again along with the color red. So again, we have the background color of red, and I would be determining the color as white. And I will also increase the font size in order to check the hello world instance out. So font size would be like near about 60 pixel. So that's a bit big. Yeah, awesome. So I would be also adding padding so it would not be like attached to the screen. Awesome. So again, we have the bunch of property over here added. And again, I would be defining a particular width to it. So basically, the width should be at least 800 pixel. Again, this is the 800 pixel, or we can increase the size to 1200 pixel. So now it's perfect. So the width of the division is 1200 pixel along with the height of 300 pixel. So now here the word responsiveness comes. So what if I want to reduce my screen size till uh, like let me again check that out. Again, I would be aligning that dock to below. And again, I would be clicking on this responsive toolbar icon. So this responsive toolbar definitely help us to determine the screen widths. So initially the screen width is 1442 pixels. What if we reduce the screen size till like 1232 pixel? It's again a bit uh, right, as we can see. But if we reduce the screen size to 1000 pixel, so again we can see over here like we have the body, and we have determined the responsive as width of 1200 pixel with the background, and we have some font size. And what if we have a bunch of hello worlds written over there? We can click on the refresh. So you can see over here, like my responsive tab is somewhat a bit tricky as compared to the last one. So if I reduce this, so you can see over here, like a scroll bar is visible. So a scroll bar should not be visible horizontally if we are at mobile. So no one want to see a scroll bar or something like to view all the content. So it should be definitely aligned. Like if I remove this width, so it should be the text should be automatically aligned according to the width of this screen. So as you can see, if I have not entered the width, so the text is automatically aligned. But if I entered the width, so basically a scroll bar would appear in order to have that maximum amount of width that is being already defined, that is 1200 pixel, along with the margin that we have added. Like we have added a margin of 10 pixel. So 10 pixel on either of the side, like 10 pixel plus 10 pixel. So the total width of the component or the division that we have used will be approximate equal to 1220 pixel. So 1200 plus 20 pixel, as on the left side the padding is also given, and as well as on the right side. And again we already have the margin of the body of 8 pixels. So basically we have a total width of 1236 pixels. So basically, in order to make it responsive, so we have a bunch of scenarios. Like we can use media query along with it. So how we can determine that by clicking on by typing it at the rate sign, as we have done in determining the keyframes of the animation at the rate sign, proceeding it by media. So basically, media mean all the screen width that we would be using. Screen means so we have two sets of instruction. So our web page can also be printed by clicking on Control P or Command P. So basically, you can save it as a PDF. So how it would be looking like within a PDF. So basically, here the screen mean it the property that would be defined within this would only be would only be referred to the screens, like the desktop or the devices, that would not be affecting any of the PDF formats or printed formats. So basically, I've written screen and I would be proceeding with the and symbol. So as to determine, I would be adding another property, combining with followed by a parenthesis. I would be writing max width followed by a colon. I would be determining the maximum width should be at least uh, 1300 pixel, as we have a total of 1200 pixels. So we have to calculate this uh, if we are determining width explicitly. In many of the case, and generally we does not determine width of the division, but in this case, as we have defined the width, so we will be calculating this. So 1200 plus 10 on either side, 1220 plus 8 pixels. So we have 1236, but combined, I will be taking a total of uh, like to determine, we can take we have, so let it be like 800 pixel, 800 pixel, and again, yeah. So that would be like I would be taking a maximum width of the 1000 pixel. So the responsiveness would class would work as it is, but as we reach a maximum width like of 1000 pixel, so this class would be rendered. Else all the width that is below 1000 pixel, like 900 pixel, if we are taking, so we would be defining we would be explicitly defining the width of the responsiveness class. So I would be taking a width of 500 pixel. So again, I click on refresh. So as soon as the width reaches below 1000, so it will be taking a total width of 500 pixel along with the 10 pixel of padding that we have. Again, when we increase the size above 1000 pixel, so automatically it convert back to 800 pixel. So basically, it defined the maximum width that we have to in order to uh, like execute these properties and along with these classes that we have. And again, so we have the responsiveness done over here. So we have the second property, like this is the maximum width, like till maximum to maximum 1000 pixel. So these property would be available, but below this, so we have the another property of minimum width. So we have defined at least, so that's like at most 1000 pixel my these property should be executed, but min width mean at least 1000 pixel should be there in order to execute these properties. So for example, if I turn my screen size to below 1000 pixel, so 800 pixel would be visible. But if I increase the size above 1000 pixel, so again increasing the size, so my width would be 500 pixel. So that determine, so at least it should be 1000 pixel in order to execute these property and the classes. And in this we have the maximum width of 1000 pixel. Uh, like below 1000 pixel, these property would be executed. Else we would be fall back to these property that we have defined without any media queries. So these at the rate media keywords are determine the media query, how we will be assigning different bunch of properties and stuff to our CSS. So we have a different concept for responsiveness. So whether rather these responsiveness are used if we want to update padding margin or something, some property, if explicitly, but generally we use some concept like display grid, as well as we have the second property as display flex. So we what display flex is, so basically it flexible it let me show you an example. For example, like we have a particular div. So basically div contain take the whole width of the element. So we have hi, hello, and we have world. Again, when I hit refresh, so you can see over here. So hello is another div that is taking the whole width of the screen. Again, the world is another division that is taking again the whole screen, whole width of the screen. But if, what if I want to give these two div a flexible width? So I would be using this display flex property. So what is it does is it basically determine it all the child element between this responsive class name. So that would be taking a flexible width. So again, hitting save and clicking on refresh button. So click on the selection tool. So you can see over here. So we have two division that is taking a flexible div according to the content that they have, along with and rest of the place have been emptied. So we can also perform some specific function to this uh, flexbox. So for example, like let me increase the screen font size to again to 60 pixel. Okay, so color would be the same again. Yeah. So we have a bunch of space left over here. So we have some terms like if I want to align this hello at left end and if I want to align world at right end, so it must have a separate division or separate tag in order to execute this functionality. So I would be typing justify content and space between. So it evenly separates the space between them and hello space between these two div. And if I want to equally aligned these two element and should be equally spaced, so it is spaced evenly. So basically the space between these element would be even. But if I want to align this having the space between them according to their widths, so space around. So the space is uneven, but in this, like the below space is more, but the left hand and the right hand space is less as per like the spacing between them. The this div would be handling this space also. Like if it's a 10 pixel of space, so it would be having the same 10 pixel of space as on the right hand side. Again, with wall will be having the same exact amount of space at left hand side. Again, along with the right hand side of space. So basically combined, it would be a 10 pixel of space along with this content of determining any width along with this 10 pixel plus 10 pixels. So the total would be a 20 pixel of space, and along with on the right hand side, so we have the 10 pixel of space over here. So again, we have the next property of grid. So again, pushing toward the last property and the last section of the this module. So basically, grid is same as that of flex, but it is much more powerful. Like all these two property are most powerful while creating responsive designs. And again, the display grid is if you have seen a newspaper, so we have a different bunch of columns as well as row. So basically, grid is nothing but determining the whole web page and like separating each of the content along with uh, like creating some grids. If I want to create a particular grid on left hand side, and I should have a different bunch of column on the right hand side, so maybe I would be having a bunch of division tag and have a child tag iterated over that. But with the grid, I can easily define each and every section of HTML page, and I can separate them from each of the div uh, while not and like typing any like I will not be entering any uh, separated div text. So like introducing you with grid. So again, it would be you can determine this grid as this grid tab. So what is does is like it should have a template. So basically, I would be creating a template by determining as grid template column. So again, the value would be what, how much space the first element should take and how much space the second element should take. So basically, the first element should take 300 pixel and the second element should take 800 pixel, for example. So like let's suppose 500 pixel. So again, by checking that, so again by clicking on these grids, so basically the first have taken this 300 pixel and the second div has taken 500 pixel. So basically we can explicitly define how much space it would be taken, it should be given. And if I want to have a even space between both of the div, so what I do is like this is the basic base uh, symbol for determining uh, the grid spacing. So FR mean fragment. So it would be taking one fragment. One fragment means instance of a grid. Like it can be as small as uh, uh, the smallest content of the grid or as large as the rest of the amount. What I meant is by this is that this extension definitely depends upon the sibling elements. If the sibling element have the width total width of 300 pixels, so the first element that has been given the value of one fragment, one fr, so that would be taking the whole space. uh, if the second division have been given 300 pixels, so the first division would be taking the rest amount of space that is being left with them with inside the grid. So we definitely have a bunch of other properties too. We can also define uh, templates around rows or along with column, combine that, and along with we can also define areas. So you can definitely we can cover these all these property in our upcoming sessions and modules.
Yeah.
And
Yeah, basically, what we'll be covering in the next session is that of course, the idea behind this entire project is also to get you started with the project that we're going to be building. So in the next session, we'll be covering the basics of JavaScript, how you can utilize JavaScript to sort of change or make these HTML CSS elements interactable. All of that can be handled with JavaScript, which is scripting language for the web. And we'll be also showing you live with a demonstration for the note taking application. So stay tuned for that. So Upender is asking how the Prettier is working.
Okay, so explaining about the prettier. So basically, we have the extension tab over here. So get just type prettier over it. So we have a bunch of uh, other extension too, but this is my favorite one that basically format the code that we are writing. So basically, just install this extension from the marketplace that is available on the left panel of the VS Code editor. And again, by installing this, so you just have to go to settings. You can click on Control, comma in Windows or Command, comma in Mac. So basically, this is a two-step process. So basically, you have to define like when the formatter should be when the formatter should run, and the second step would be defining a particular formatter. So basically, I would be searching for a particular setting like save. So I want to run my formatter on save. So I can see format on save. So just click on this checkbox. So it would activate the formatter, and now I would be typing the format. So the default formatter would not be selected. So we have to explicitly define what formatter I would be looking for when I click on save. So I would be defining the prettier code formatter. So just by following these two steps, so you can install the code formatter. And
Yep.
now what
And
code formatter do is like if I does not have any indentation or something and it is misaligned to the whole project. So by clicking on save, so it automatically add that indentation, and again it format all the tag that are defined above this so at once. So
yeah,
the code would be much more prettier than it was before. So that
yeah,
would be
because it
easily
comes with
understand.
inbuilt. Yeah, it comes with a lot of inbuilt languages support. So based on what particular type of file extension that you have, for example, it's a .js file for JavaScript, .html for HTML based files. It will figure that out, and it will based on the standards. So this is where we call the code indentation. That how well can you represent your code? It's mainly therefore, of course, it makes it easier to understand the code and also makes the code more readable. So you can use things like the Prettier, and then we have a lot of other extensions that you can use. This is just one of the most common ones.